security that we're putting in at the ports is being stepped up. We have better equipment. We're going to start building this big new wall very soon as part of the 17 million package that we're doing with the French. So, there are people still getting through.
It's a fence, not a wall, isn't it? We don't confuse it.
We've done the fence, and now we're doing a wall. And that will help with that. We've also, for example, invested in space for 200 lorries in Calais, so that lorries waiting aren't necessarily vulnerable. But there is still more to do.
As Western European countries force a deal on their eastern counterparts to accommodate the hundreds of thousands of refugees streaming in from Syria and elsewhere. But as the arguing continues, so does the suffering. Our report tonight from NBC's Bill Neely.
Europe is battling to control its migrant crisis. French police firing tear gas, migrants attacking, furious they've been blocked from reaching Britain. Across Europe, refugees are on the move and exhausted. Countries say they're overwhelmed. Croatia seeing 30,000 in a week and deploying riot police. The migrants are bussed to Hungary, where armed troops and armoured vehicles await. They're searched by police, even small children, women having hairpins removed.
Is this a humanity? How they deal with the people in this way?
These troops have also been given new powers to open fire on migrants with rubber bullets and tear gas to keep order and to keep them out if needed. Europe's leaders have agreed to take in 120,000 migrants, less than a quarter of those who've come. The UN saying it's no solution.
This is Europe's last chance to get things right.
Because they're still coming. 3,000 people arriving within hours today on dozens of flimsy boats on one Greek island. Europe is still struggling to contain a crisis that's straining its unity, values and reputation. Bill Neely, NBC News, Vukovar, Croatia.
Next year and 100,000 in 2017. Activists have urged the country to accept even more. Meanwhile, the struggle by thousands of migrants and refugees trying to make it to Western Europe continued today along the border between Hungary and Croatia. NBC's Bill Neely is there.
This is what desperation looks like. Trapped for days, migrants storm a train. They've little idea where it's going, but they want to escape. main refugee camp in Croatia, a small country that says it's being overwhelmed by the number of migrants coming through here. More than 30,000 in just over a week, 3,000 coming in and out of this camp today. There is now an agreement in Europe to deal with some of the people here, Europe's leaders agreeing a plan to share out 120,000 migrants across the countries in the European Union. But there is some disagreement because countries in Eastern Europe, many of them, didn't want this plan. They opposed it, they were outvoted, and they're very resentful about that, and they say it cannot be enforced. It was, in fact, pushed through by some of the bigger countries like Germany and France, but it is a flawed deal. It covers only about a quarter, not even a quarter, of the migrants who are already in Europe, and it will cover the next 2 years, so it doesn't even take into account the migrants who are coming right now. It can't be enforced, and the UN Refugee Agency says it doesn't go far enough. It's a first step, it's not a solution, and it's straining the unity of Europe. East and West bitterly divided, the migrants in here united in their determination to go where they want, not to go where they're ordered to go by Europe's politicians.
Before many had had their first croissant and coffee, the people of Calais were marching hand in hand in protest. An early morning human chain formed to block the main road towards the Ferryport and tunnel, fed up with years of increasing violence towards truck drivers and dockers blamed on migrants.
There are now more than 10,000 of them who are imposing their law. We really have to stop it. There are enough of them now.
Those on foot linking up with those in the preferred vehicle of French protest. The mayor of Calais was right at the front. Among the truckers taking part, Philippe Waller, keen to vent his anger.
We're fed up. We want the jungle dismantled. We can't live in Calais. We want to work, but because of this we have lost everything.
In the tented camp they want removed, I met Gamal from Sudan. He spent 6 months trying to get to Britain and has one word to describe those who want the camp demolished.
The fascist is very bad. The jungle is very bad, worries environment. No food, no healthy, no comfortable life. No, everything here is bad. We need to go.
And caught in the middle, bemused British tourists trying to get home.
How's it gone? Have you found it easily?
Well, we've got to know Calais, 2 hours.
2 hours?
In around Calais, yes.
Fun.
After 12 hours of disruption on the A16, tonight, finally the protesters backed down and lifted the blockade. But despite government promises to increase security and demolish the migrant camp, few expect the problem to be solved, meaning truck drivers will continue to run the gauntlet along this now notorious autoroute.
It's known as the Jungle, a crowded makeshift camp housing thousands of migrants. It is close to the French entrance of the Channel Tunnel near the port of Calais.
There are estimates that around 7,000 people may now live here, all with one ambition.
You don't like to stay in Calais, that is true. You don't like to stay in France, that is true. So they have to open the border for you to go England. You need to be in England. This is your solution.
Migrants are breaking down fences and storming the Eurotunnel rail terminal, jumping onto trains and trucks bound for Britain.
Eurotunnel, the group that operates the Channel Tunnel, says it's caught more than 37,000 migrants attempting the crossing since the beginning of the year.
This clandestine activity is happening all over Calais, all night long, every single day of the year.
Hundreds gather in groups along roads or railways, hoping to catch a UK-bound truck or train traveling in the tunnel under the English Channel.
It's blatant. It's in broad daylight.
yesterday. Calais not tomorrow. Calais today. Calais now. We have to move now.
Hello, people of England. We would like to say hi and welcome. Thank you, people of England. Actually, they have brought lots of foods, chocolates, sweets, and we'd like to thank you guys for all these things. And my message to all people in England, that you're really kind, you're really helpful, and we thank you.
Volunteers, many from London, are doing everything they can to help out.
They bring their vans, they bring their cars, and they bring us donations, and we get them together and we bring them straight out to the camp.
It just feels like the world's descending into chaos and we should all try and help.
But truck drivers, who face the daily challenge of getting to the UK without people hiding illegally on their vehicles, aren't happy.
With all this help and aid that's being supplied, they're attracting them like a magnet, they're attracting them to Calais.
How big a threat is it to your drivers?
Every day, every night, you know, my drivers are on their own. They're confronted sometimes by 5, 10, 15, 20 people. It's a great danger to them, and I worry constantly about it.
Sometimes, even when you're driving, I've had a brick thrown at the windscreen, hit the top left-hand side of the cab, and that is what we are up against here. When you see them cut the side of a trailer open, if they've got a knife, it's possible that they're going to use it if you're going to try and detain them.
Through a granite block, straight through the windscreen. And they're just literally just pelting your truck with rocks for no apparent reason.
Rocks thrown at us, iron railings thrown at us, all sorts.
They've got knives and poles and bars. They've only got to smash the window screen and or smash the side door and get in. Could come to the stage where you've stopped and they're dragging you out of here.
We're waiting for a truck driver to get killed because it could happen.
We get asked a lot by different people, but do you not feel sympathy for the immigrants, the refugees and stuff? And we did up to a point, but that we're past that point now. When somebody's standing in front of you with a knife and a broken beer bottle, drawing their finger across their throat, looking at you, sympathy is a very, very scarce emotion.
Ça fait 45 ans qu'elle vit ici. Il y a 11 ans, elle a perdu donc son mari, donc elle vit seule. Plus de 3000 migrants en face. Une personne qui vit seule. Là, elle ne peut pas parler parce qu'elle est toujours en état de choc et elle a 9 interventions par la police parce que 9 intrusions. Suite à ça, elle ne sort plus. Au centre, la nuit, elle est toute seule. Il y a eu une émeute le 30 mai. Il y avait quand même une guérilla avec 400 migrants et le feu. Je suis donc venue seule à 3 h du matin avec 50 migrants dans la rue armés. Et elle était enfermée dans la cave. La maison était caillassée.
Je peux être filmé parce qu'ils viennent casser chez moi.
Vous habitez dans une maison à côté
Juste ici en bas, parce qu'ils sont tous en train de téléphoner. J'ai peur. On a une fille de 18 ans. Elle ne peut plus sortir. La maison, les volets sont baissés. Tout est fermé, on est cloîtré, on ne peut plus rien faire.
Il ne se passe pas une journée sans qu'on appelle.
Not a day goes by without us having to call the police, maybe 5 or 6 times a day for this kind of thing.
On travaille avec la peur.
It's going to be the death of our business because customers won't come when the migrants are here.
Depuis 3 mois, on a vraiment une explosion des délits de droit commun, à savoir les violences, les vols, les tentatives de viol, ça existe. Et ça augmente. Les vols dans les véhicules, les vols dans les magasins.
Ils ont retourné les voitures.
They turned over the cars. In the streets, they went as far as hitting the cars and they broke windows. Moreover, shops are suffering major profit losses. On top of that, the threat of being physically attacked is felt every day.
Being robbed at knife point by migrants here is becoming an increasing occupational hazard.
They start to go for my pockets, and then I'm pinned against a wall. One of them has a blade and starts cutting at my jacket. And one of them tries to put something in my mouth, a napkin or something like that, trying to keep quiet. Eventually I break free. I find safety back towards the entrance with some volunteers who say this is like increasingly happening.
Suddenly, out of nowhere,
3 people jumped on me. I had not seen these people coming. I was not filming them. I don't know where they were coming from. And they suddenly jumped on me. It all went very quickly.
Here's what? He's got a gun.
This man from Afghanistan said there had been a murder here just the night before.
Yesterday there is one black guy is died. Someone is killed. I don't know because I'm very scary.
What concerns me is this is completely unpoliced space. Nobody knows who's here. And if you look behind me, the people on the sofa are covering up their faces. They don't want to be seen. There could be all sorts of reasons.
It's an intimidating, edgy atmosphere. Some people are drunk or high on drugs. Fights are commonplace.
But you have Sudanese, Afghani, Eritrean, Ethiopian and Syrian camps, which there's a lot of salam alaikum there, as well as a lot of peace and sharing of that peaceful greeting between those cultures.
As we watch food parcels being given out by volunteers, a fight suddenly kicks off between two crowds of Sudanese and Afghan men. Several end up being taken to hospital.
There's a lot of salam alaikum.
We had the Sudanese on this side, we had the Eritreans on the other side, there were rocks. We saw one man get particularly badly beaten up. The tear gas is out and the police are now advancing on the Sudanese group here.
A lot of peace and sharing of that peaceful greeting between those cultures.
7 people have been injured in Calais in a brawl involving some 200 migrants. French riot police were needed to break up the fighting, said to be between Afghan and African migrants.
Tensions remain high following repeated clashes between 300 rival Sudanese and Eritrean migrants. Only the night before, they attacked each other with weapons, including stones and knives.
Ce camp improvisé est situé juste en dessous de la station de métro Stalingrad. Ici, certains réfugiés sont passés par la jungle de Calais.
Between 300 and 400 migrants began fighting in the afternoon near a food distribution point. During the skirmish, makeshift huts were set on fire. 40 people were injured.
The fight escalated quickly into running battles with iron bars, knives, and wooden bats. Riot police were called to the scene, where police said the fighting was extremely serious. Those involved suffered injuries to their heads, chests, and legs.
There are fights regularly here, but this one was particularly violent and particularly intense. What we saw this time were really scenes of war.
We don't know who the people coming into Europe are. There are criminals amongst the migrants. There are terrorists amongst the migrants. We've seen that. We know that to be a fact now.
There is specific intelligence that has been obtained by European security agencies that ISIS in Syria and Iraq is aiming to hit the United Kingdom next. The intelligence suggesting that British ISIS operatives in Syria and Iraq have been tasked to return to the UK to launch an attack.
The biggest risk that we face from the jungle camp is simply that UK nationals who have been here previously, who are trying to avoid detection by the police, by the security services, and they are attempting to re-enter the country, claiming to be asylum seekers when in actual fact they're not.
Do you think there are any people from Daesh here?
Of course, yeah.
In this camp?
In the jungle, you mean?
Yeah.
In the jungle, yeah, of course have.
People here, we don't know which one is a Daesh, which one is a right person.
كلهم مشكلة بالكالة. بالكالة كلهم نفس داعش بالكالة.
Well, aren't you helping migrants get to the UK?
Absolutely, I am. Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
We may be facilitating a rebellion at some points. Essentially, we distribute supplies which facilitate people to jump fences.
Let them in! Let them in! Let them in! Let them in! Let them in!
Oh, people of Britain,
Know that the Islamic State is here to stay, and we will continue to wage jihad, break borders, and one day invade your land where we will rule by the Sharia